Okay, now we should be live with take two of this live stream. I want to talk a little bit slower and not move around as much. Hopefully that will help. If you guys have just, if you're new and you just saw before, Alex or from Rock On Beer Vlog is joining for a live beer review that we tried to shoot, but it didn't work whatsoever. So now we're trying again. But welcome once again, Alex.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Yeah, that was lame last time.
Okay, now we should be live with. Yeah, it didn't work whatsoever. I be talking when Alex was talking, and but hopefully that will help.
Oh, hang on. I just
yeah.
realized that you're playing in my window. Okay.
Yeah. So we were looking at this beer, guys, that we already have poured and have drunk about half the bottle of.
Yeah, you can tell.
Evil Twin, I Love You with my stout. Imperial Stout on 12%. Brewed at Two Roads Brewing Company over in the U.S. It's a place that Evil Twin contract brews at. So, color on the beer when we got it poured.
What's that?
Are we lagging again?
Oh, no. All right. Let's not talk about it. Maybe it'll go away.
Okay, yeah, maybe it will. So the color on the beer, Alex.
It's definitely super dark. I mean, this is a dark stout.
Yeah, it had a big or this frothy kind of tan-looking head when we poured it, but that's of course
too.
What did you say?
I said it actually lasted forever too.
Oh yeah, it lasts quite long for such a big beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, the aroma on it. Let's take it out. I'm getting more booze now that since it's been sitting in the glass for a while.
Yeah. Now that the head is gone and it's kind of like gotten a little flatter, I get a ton more booze.
Yeah, I mean, really, it smells huge and boozy. Much more boozy than we just started. But you're still getting the licoricey, the dark fruit notes, those kind of nuances. And, okay, I can see we're starting to get some viewers, by the way.
Hooray.
If you're new, if you have comments, please post them to Twitter or anything, comments and whatnot, because we probably won't be able to see them on the actual YouTube page because Google Plus isn't really working properly. But yeah, it smells nice. Like some chocolatey notes and stuff, but really right now, after it's been sitting in the glass, I'd say it's the booze that kind of dominates the aroma, actually.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely has changed a lot in the last, 45 minutes or so.
Yeah. But yeah, let's give it a taste. That seems like a completely different beer almost. It's incredible how much that head retention really kept the booze under control, and that the fact that it was like mine is not that flat right now, but it has a little less carbonation.
Yeah.
It tastes boozy, like real boozy.
Yeah, I think that carbonation really helped to just give it a little bite that kind of took away from the booziness and the sweetness. Because we talked about it before that this is a crazy sweet beer.
Oh yeah, crazy sweet. But actually, even the sweetness is not that intense either. Like now, there is sweetness to it. There is that kind of brown sugar, dark sugars. But like the honey I talked about and stuff, like I don't really pick that up much. I'm picking up the booze, like some coffee, and like dark fruits and licorice and that stuff, but like most is just like roasty, boozy syrup flavors almost.
syrup. That's a really good word for it because it reminds me of I can't think of I can't think of it's the syrup in Denmark that you put into like cakes and stuff. Rock syrup. I,
I don't think. Do we have a special syrup for that?
no, I don't. It's the one that comes in the white. I have to go find it in the kitchen. You put it into certain baked goods and stuff. I don't. It doesn't have a English
Okay.
word. I don't think so.
Glucosesyrup.
Oh, rock syrup.
Milk syrup. Oh, okay. It's just like a dark syrup.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think syrup's just syrup in the U.S. And then you have high fructose corn syrup and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. It's like a caramel syrup, but it's really thin. I don't know. It reminds me of this. I actually once had a beer that was
Yeah.
that was like 40% uh, that syrup.
Okay.
What a terrible
That
beer.
must have been. That must have been. Yeah, very thin beer as well.
Yeah, it was a homebrew, so.
Mm. But this though, it's still got some nice flavors. But since it's been sitting in the glass, I also get more of the licorice. For some reason, the licorice seems enhanced by the booze as well. But I rated it way too highly on the first go because I was like, wow, this is sick and killer. But after sitting in the glass, this is just getting like way too boozy compared to like what I think. Like when I've had this before, it's been in bottle shares and we've had like 10 centiliters each.
Yeah.
So that you get it fresh from the bottle, you drink 10 centiliters, and it's like, wow, this is awesome. And then you sit with an entire bottle, and then you sit with the like last part of the bottle for yourself, and it's just after an hour or 45 minutes as well, and it's just a whole different beer. But I guess that's how
It
it is.
totally is. And like I said, this is the kind of super sweet, super baked imperial stout that even in the small, the small bottle, I would still probably want to share this with somebody.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a huge beer. Like the syrup and sweetness and all that is not something that's easy to drink on your own whatsoever.
But it's still a really, really nice beer. I mean,
But I do still like it.
yeah.
But I agree, it's still a really nice beer. It's not a 95 for sure. But it is nice. I definitely prefer something like has even more Jesus to this if we're talking Imperial stouts. But I mean, it's still really nice, but definitely something to share. I think it's a good call that it's in a small bottle like this.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy when you. Well, hang on. I've still got this just off shot. I mean, imagine. I mean, it would be a tough job, but drinking a bomber of even more Jesus, that is like that's not like some beers you think of as being like that's the beer for the evening. This is like for an entire weekend.
Yeah, like after a beer like this, you almost want like a fizzy lager just to cleanse your palate. But it's no, it's still a really nice beer. Again, not something I can drink a ton of, but it's a nice like sipping beer, sitting over like a winter night in front of the fire and like being all cozy and chilling.
Yeah.
That's perfect type of sipping beer, but definitely not my favorite Imperial stout from like even more diseases or Imperial Biscotti Break. But again, those beers are just crazy good.
Yeah, they're in like a whole nother league of beer. They're like, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they're not always sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, of course. And even have you had the Lil B from them?
Lil B, I did. I tried it somewhere. I can't really remember it though.
That's really good. Like that's the baby version of or baby. the base beer for Imperial was Cuddy Break.
Okay. I think I had it just a taster of it somewhere or something.
But this is still really good. Like as it is now, it's a really nice beer. I'm 95. I won't go that high, but I'd say like 88, 89, maybe 90. Just because it's just so much more boozy now that the carbonation has faded.
I'm gonna stick with my original 8, just because I was a little lower than you in the beginning anyway, and I guess most people wouldn't probably sit with this beer for an hour swirling it around and stuff. So
No, you start to lose a lot of the carbonation when you, like, especially when you sit and swirl it around and sip on it. But yeah, good stuff, guys. I definitely recommend checking it out, but don't sit with it for too long in the glass, as we did. And also, I gotta give a shout out to Dave for sending this one. You're a real dude. Thanks a bunch. He sent it out in that crazy big beer mail. And it's still a really nice beer. Actually, what I just noticed now on the label, I thought it was a mountain. It looks like a person's face.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh, I thought it was a mountain too. Clever.
That's probably why it's called I Love You with My Stout. But yeah, good stuff. So we talked a little bit before the whole, like in the old live stream, about contract breweries and what we think about them. And I think it's a cool idea to start, like, when you start out brewing, or a good way to, like, save money. Because in Denmark, starting a brewery, well, not just in Denmark, I guess, but all over the world, starting your own brewery is a really expensive ordeal.
Yeah, it's crazy expensive, and especially here. The labor costs as well that go along with it. Because I know in the U.S., like, it's popular. You can start a brewery basically with just some stepped-up home brewing equipment, but it's kind of more difficult here because the return is so small on depending on how much you're actually producing. So I know we talked about in the last one that we were talking about the crazy percentage of new breweries in Denmark and Scandinavia as a whole that start up as contract brewers.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's, like, the last few new breweries from my region in Denmark, Northern Jutland, has been starting as contract brewers as well. I think one of them brews at Løkken, which is a city north of here. I live in Aalborg, and then the other one brews at Nibe, which is also a brewery north of here. And then there's that whole debate, like, when you talk about contract brewing, some people don't think that contract brewing is, the same thing as having a real brewery, etc. But I don't really agree with that, because just because you have a contract brewery doesn't mean necessarily that you don't know how to brew. It's just a whole different way, a different concept of brewing beer.
And I think that also really, depends on. I think that really depends. That's kind of regional too, because I know that that's a pretty strong feeling in the U.S. Like, if you read a lot of, like, blogs and stuff in the U.S., people will say, like, oh well, if you're going to brew beer, then open a brewery. Don't use someone else's brewery. But I don't feel like it's that big of an issue here, just because it's kind of more accepted. Do you feel that way, that it's kind of more accepted to contract brew in Europe?
Yeah. But again, I think it's also because so many do it. I mean, there's probably a whole lot more than, like, the ones you know of, the, like, famous breweries like Omnipolo and Evil Twin, McKellar, Tool, beer breweries mentioned previously. But other breweries like Pohjala in Estonia, I know they started off with, like, contract brewing and stuff. And yeah, it seems like we've accepted it a little bit more here. But I don't know. It seems like Europe is the place where you do contract brewing, and then the U.S. you own your own brewery, more so. There's probably more contract breweries in the U.S. exist that we know of, but that's kind of the feel I get from it.
That's definitely what I think too, because I mean, I off the top of my head, I can really only think of one contract brewer, U.S. contract brewer that's kind of like, which is Clown Shoes, and then they're the only one I can think of that have like, that are a kind of a big name or something. I'm sure that there's a lot of small regional ones that we wouldn't know about.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm sure there's like small regional breweries that you don't know that do stuff like that, but the ones you really like when it comes to new American beer and stuff you hear about over here in Denmark, it's mostly the stuff that hits, big on rating sites or on news sites and stuff like that. All the regional breweries you don't really hear of. And I guess it's the same the other way around, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, even some of our bigger breweries are pretty unknown, in the U.S.
Oh yeah, a brewery like I'm on Oakhus. I
Oh,
think amazing brewery, one of my all-time favorite Danish breweries.
really?
I know they do ship a lot of stuff to the U.S. and all, but there's a lot of like people I know who have like never heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. My brother visited this summer, and he's really big into beer, just like me. And yeah, he had never heard of, Ama or, I mean, even some even bigger European breweries. Like he didn't know who De Molen was and like that. So
You didn't know what the Molden was?
yeah, well, it's because I'm originally from Michigan, and Michigan doesn't get. We have so many of our own breweries that we don't actually. I mean, I haven't lived there in a long time, but the few times that I've been back, there isn't a lot of import beers just because the shelves are so full of, you know, Michigan craft or, the local areas. Like, I don't think any Danish beers get distributed. I know McKellar and Evil Twin don't get distributed to Michigan. I don't think any of the others do either.
Yeah, I actually don't know much. I mean, I think the main importer to the U.S. of Danish beer is Shelton Brothers, right?
Yeah, Shelton Brothers and what's this 12%?
Right. But then again, you have over there, you have like a total different set of laws when it
Yeah,
comes to stuff like that compared to here with your whole three-tier system.
the other
All
tiered
that.
system. Because here, basically, breweries can sell directly to stores if they want to. I mean, we have distributors in Denmark that act as middlemen because they have bigger networks, but it's not against the law for a brewery to just sell directly to a store like
Yeah.
in the U.S.
Yeah. That's. I've heard like different opinions on that though. The whole three-tier system. I've heard that some people think it's a good idea. It helps promote like local craft and stuff like that. But then I've heard like people also think it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, I
What do you
think
think of it?
I think that I think it has its pros and its cons. I mean, for one of the biggest cons, I guess, is that it keeps the diversity kind of low. Like a lot of stuff doesn't get to certain markets,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it also really helps breweries in the U.S. because they basically are guaranteed to get if they can produce their beer, then they're kind of guaranteed to get it put into a lot of stores because they're going straight to a distributor and they have all of their accounts and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's true with the whole pros and cons thing that they have it like that. But I'm still kind of glad that we have it like we do in Denmark, that you can just sell it straight from the brewery. It seems easier, but again, that's what we're used to here.
Yeah, but there's also limitations here because there's like serious lack of supply of some beer to certain parts of Denmark, even though it's such a small country.
Oh yeah, that's right. But I think that's also yeah, that's probably the pro of the three-tier system then, because a lot of new brewers, they have to figure out distributing the beers by themselves, so they have to drive them around by themselves and delivering them if they don't have a agreement with a bigger company or something like that. Because I know some breweries have their stuff sold through something like which is a distributor here and stuff like that. But not all have those types of agreements.
Yeah, yeah, I know of a few breweries that don't have any agreements, and yeah, just like you said, they load their beer into a van and they literally drive all around the country, like from shop to shop and sell the beer. It's like like in some old movie where the medicine man would roll into town with his wagon and sell jars of snake oil.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah. On one hand, it's pretty cool that you can just cut the middleman out and sell directly to the shops and stuff. But then on the other hand, yeah, it keeps certain breweries who can't afford a distributor. It really keeps them really isolated.
Yeah, that's right. It does keep them isolated. Um, but we have a comment. Hopsy says he really enjoyed Christmas Eve in a New York City hotel room, and that was also brewed at Two Rose Brewing Company. Have you had that beer?
Uh, no, I haven't actually had that one.
I think there's two versions of it. That was the first one they brewed called New York City Inn, or in a New York City hotel room, Christmas Eve in a New York City hotel room, and then there's also one called At a New York City hotel room.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure, but something like that. But have you had that one? No?
No, I've seen it around, but I've never. Actually, the only place I've ever seen it is at my local bar on the bottle list, but it's like 100 kroner for a bottle this size. So I've never bought it. So
That's pretty expensive for a small bottle like that. I've had it though. I had both the original batch and the new one. And as far as I remember, they're pretty good. Pretty nice Imperial stouts. Um, in the same vein of the big kind of roasty Imperial stouts, similar to something like this, almost. Maybe not as boozy, but then again, I haven't had either of those beers when they've been sitting in the glass for a long time.
yeah,
But that is a pretty good beer. Two Rose Brewing Company, though, I've never had any of their beer except the stuff that's been brewed there by Evil Twin.
Oh, really? You haven't? Did you guys not get their beer just swept through Denmark during the summer, like a little before the summer, and then on into? It's one of those brands that just popped up everywhere and then disappeared. Like we actually had it on
Kind of
tap
like
at my local bar. We had a bunch of their beer on tap. But yeah, I mean it's
Was it any good?
yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Their double IPA is really nice, and I had their saison that was saisonish. But yeah, they're are they in Connecticut or somewhere? Yeah, they're somewhere on the East Coast up in New England, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Connecticut or something like that.
Yeah.
It probably states on the bottle. Stratford, Connecticut.
Yeah, Stratford. Yeah, because a friend of mine who lives in Connecticut, he once gave me a bottle of their beer um, when we were visiting our hometown at the same time, and then I actually forgot it there, so I never got to drink it. But then I had it actually here in Denmark this summer, so it's pretty weird.
Yeah. I think we can get some of their stuff now because in the newest update or new beer list from a local beer store. I think one of them is a Two Roads Brewing Company beer. But I'm kind of scared that that's probably a super old bottle if you're saying that it swept through the country in the summer.
Yeah, they popped up. I remember seeing them in like May, June, somewhere around there, pop up in our local shops. Probably still sitting there. If you'd like me to send you some.
See, that's also one of the things in Denmark. I don't know if it's the same thing in the U.S., but a lot of stuff sits on the shelf for a very long time.
Yeah, it's too bad, really.
And especially considering it comes all the way from the States. It's already kind of old, and then you get it over here. And then it's like, oh, you go pick it up and you try it, and it's like, oh, it doesn't taste super fresh, whatever. And then it's just sits on the shelves for like so long, and then you get some random person going in, and it's like, oh, that's an interesting label. Maybe the person who's not super into, if we say like IPAs, grabs an IPA that's, oh, interesting label, tries it and hates it, and it turns him off IPAs just because it's an old import.
Yeah,
I think we get that.
I honestly don't buy American. I honestly don't buy American like IPAs and pale ales all that often anymore, because I had that same experience. Like, it's just not worth the money to have just a super old beer, and it's just like, that's definitely not the beer. Even right when it comes off the boat, it's almost not even really the beer that the brewer intended it to be anymore. So
yeah, and I guess it's the same for a lot of people in the U.S. as well when they hear about European hoppy beers being great.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
hoppy beer, you just really need to find like that's brewed in your country if you want. Sometimes you can be lucky though, and you can get some fresh bottles. I remember at one point I was in Copenhagen and I had I think it was only like 1 month old West Coast IPA, the old recipe from West Coast IPA by Green Flash, and I was like, oh, only a month old? That's crazy. And then we got it and it was really, really good.
Yeah.
But I also rarely buy American IPAs in bottles unless it's something I've like heard of or heard good things about. Because I'm kind of scared of getting like the older bottles.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I recently bought in August, I think, they released High Life from Cigar City in Denmark, and I bought some cans because I'd always wanted to try it. And it was a little old, but it was still pretty good. But yeah, it sucks because that's one of those beers that you hear so much about, and then if you finally get to try it and it's not good, you can't really tell whether it's just like, oh, this is an overhyped beer, or oh, this is just old, or too old, or it didn't ship properly, or.
Yeah. However, when it's cans, I usually once in a while, like if it's canned hoppy beer, I will go on to the limb and say, "Ah, fuck it," and I'll try it because cans, in my experience, is preserved like hoppy beer much better than bottles.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it lasts a lot longer in cans. Not that you can really get a lot of cans here, but most of the beers from the U.S. in cans that I've had have been a lot better than bottles.
Yeah, we have a question for you, Alex. Where is the beer freedom best, Denmark or the U.S.?
Beer freedom? Oh, I wonder.
Beer freedom.
Did that question come from out west somewhere?
It actually came from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
No, man, I can't imagine. Well, it's. I gotta say that the freedom is much tastier in the U.S. But the bus ride is really long.
Yeah.
That's a really stupid inside joke.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a very bad inside joke. But the Freedom Bus is real.
Yeah, it runs. It runs between in Copenhagen, and it's full of people that really don't want to be there. It's full of like 5 people who are really having a good time, and then like 20 people who are really not.
Yeah. And then also the only 2 roast beer we can get right now here apparently is their Russian Imperial Stout.
Okay.
So
that one's
no
cool.
worries about shelf time. Maybe we should try that at one point. And then Edward Wilson, such a good stout, so sweet. And okay, again, initially I thought it was awesome when I got it correct and the carbonation and everything, but this is not a beer you want to let sit in your glass for too long.
Yeah, I got rid of mine.
It's so big that you kind of have to. If you slug it down fast, you get hammered.
Yeah, pretty much. I gotta.
Well, yeah, you have a little beer fridge behind you with homebrew. I don't. But yeah, then another comment is just a person laughing. So, but yeah, this was a nice brew though when it was fresh, or when it was just cracked and all. But I still definitely prefer like even more Jesus and those types of beers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is it's a nice beer, and I mean, I would have it again if I could share it with somebody.
Yeah. Did you ever completely different topic, still at Eagle Twin, but at CBC, did you ever try any of the donut break and donut break variants?
I did. I tried. I think I tried the apple one. There was an apple one, right?
Yeah, I think it was apple bacon.
Apple bacon. That was. I knew there was bacon in there, but I didn't know if it was the same one. Yeah. So I did try that one. I remember not liking it.
That one was great.
What?
Whoa, I loved it. Well, I was probably hammered at that point because I had pink tickets last year, so that's a lot of beer. But
I can guarantee you.
But no, I remember really like the initial just regular donut break was awesome. Then there was apple bacon and one with raspberries as well, and the raspberries was sick. That was insane.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was too. The problem, my biggest problem with CBC is that like the first 5 Imperial Stouts you try are probably going to be amazing because everybody basically brings all their most amazing beer. But by the time you hit that like 17th Imperial Stout, you're just like, yeah, tastes like black.
Kind of goes a little bit downhill, but that's just because your palate is right. But it's a really fun experience. CBC is definitely something I would recommend for anyone who hasn't gone before. Yeah, are you going to be there this year?
I am. Oh, you know what? I must be remembering a different beer because I gave it 4.5 stars on Untapped, so I think I liked it a little bit.
So you actually loved it?
I actually loved it. Oh no, that was the McKellar one that I didn't like, the cookies one.
The cookie
one? Cookies and cream Imperial Stout.
No, that was vanilla shake cookie bourbon barrel aged edition. That was amazing.
You know what?
I think the one you might be remembering was the Tattoo beer, which was an Imperial Stout with licorice and
the blood
raspberries.
Did you see that they barrel aged that? They just released it today.
Yeah.
Worst beer at CBC.
I don't know if you guys have had any of those beers where they just go crazy with adjuncts and it sounds amazing, but it's not. Let us know if you've had any where it's like huge disappointment. Because this one certainly was. I think it was called Black Ink and Blood.
Black Ink and Blood, yeah, that's what it was called.
That was the weirdest Imperial Stout ever. To me, it reminded me of a candy we had in Denmark I think people call it Süßmuffüller. It's hard candy that is like flavored with licorice and raspberry and stuff. It was kind of like that in beer form, and it was just super weird. Have you had anything like that before, other than the Black Ink Blood Alex adjunct beer or beer with adjuncts that just doesn't work?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I know I must have. It's just tough trying to think of them. Do you have another example?
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Uh, a coconut stout, which tasted like buttery and coconut, kind of coconutty, but yeah, it didn't work. I can't remember. It was an American brewery. I can't remember. It was on tap locally not too long ago. I think it was a coconut porter. But it was like first sip, like interesting, and then it just turned into like diacetyl overload and weird milky creamy coconut. It was not good.
Oh, really trying to think of something.
Yeah. Oh well, but I think also that's one of the newest trends in brewing at the moment.
Yeah, it's like people are trying to
adjunct up those Imperial stouts.
Yeah.
And it can turn out really good, but it can also turn out bad.
Well, I mean, there are certain beers with adjuncts in them that I think are like I'm just gonna come right out with it. The Chili Klaus beer. Don't tell nobody.
Whoops.
That beer is just it's a beer that's made with roast chilies, and it's horrible.
We had it at a bottle share at one point, and to me, it's like it is spicy, but it's not like as spicy as you'd think. But then the flavors and all weren't really my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's like you think it's supposed to be really spicy, but it's actually kind of sweet. I'm not a really big fan of like chili in beer as a thing. I think there's really
I think it can be good if it's balanced out with other things.
Yeah,
because something like Hoo or Prairie Bomb.
That was
Mexican cake.
Yeah.
Those are awesome beers with adjuncts.
Oh, I thought of it. I thought of my
Also,
one. I thought of my perfect one. McKellar made a spontan coffee lambic. Did you have that one? Spontan coffee?
I didn't dare get it.
Oh my god.
I know it, but I haven't tried it.
So bad. Coffee, like roasted, like roasty coffee taste, but then lambic sourness, and oh man, it was really bad. That one really sticks out now. Now that I think of it as yeah, I guess you can. I mean, you can put coffee in almost everything except that. Just it did not work at all as an adjunct for a sour beer.
Oh no, I wouldn't imagine coffee and sour beer being good whatsoever. And by the way, we get or Edward Wilson said he really liked this beer. Said it was a pretty serious beer, so he ended up sharing it with his wife as well.
Oh, nice.
The I love you with my stout. Understandable.
Yeah,
huge stuff. But like speaking of the whole adjunct thing, I say that I think it's kind of the new trend in brewing, and we're talking about the whole chili beer. Have you ever tried doing that, like infusing trick with like a French coffee press and try infusing either coconut or vanilla or whatever into a beer you really like an Imperial Stout or something?
Well, I've tried that trick before. I actually on my YouTube channel, some of the first videos that I did were some beer hacking videos, and I was actually trying to make bad beer better for the most part. But um, I have tried it. It works. It's kind of that Wrangle type thing. Only if you use like a coffee press, you kind of lose a lot of carbonation and stuff, so it changes the beer a lot in the end. But it is something cool to do. Like I infused a big handful of fresh Cascade hops into a Carlsberg. That came out really nice. So if you're a hop,
It can't come out really.
yeah, if you're a hophead and you can only afford Carlsberg, I can recommend that.
Then just buy a lot of like Cascade hops or your favorite
Yeah.
hops, and then just infuse it. But recently I tried infusing Limfjordsporter by Tistelbräuhus
Yeah, what,
with some of my friends, and that was really fun. For you guys who don't know, Limfjordsporter is a local beer to my area. The best, cheap, easy to get beer, and like a benchmark beer for like I guess porters or I guess you could say craft beer in Denmark. It was one of the first beers that really got recognition as something really good here. Um, and some of my beer friends up here and I are big fanboys of it. So we drink it a lot, and we tried infusing with it, and we did so many variants of it. It was so fun. The strangest one we did, or the worst one we did, was actually the coffee one. Because that was the first one we did, so we didn't have the ratio right yet. So we did like a double espresso. I mean, the coffee beans you'd use for a double espresso, and then infuse that. It was just a mess. It was just like bitter. You couldn't taste anything but bitter and coffee, basically. But we nailed it with those. Like we also tried infusing um, coconut and vanilla and chocolate. And one of them that really works was infusing it with the gingerbread spice.
oh,
That
really?
was, yeah. I mean, if you like spicy, cakey type beers, it worked. It tastes like a gingerbread stout kind of. It was really good, and it almost dominated the smokiness of it. So that was kind
Because
of
I was
cool to
going to
try.
say that must be difficult with because Leafield's Porter is a smoked beer, so it must be
Yeah,
hard to overcome that taste, or a smoky taste.
yeah. True, true. Because that was really hard to like overcome with a lot of the blends. And then probably one of the worst blends we also tried, and that was just for kicks. We made a Skittles infused Limfjords water.
How do you infuse Skittles?
Well, same way as you infuse coffee, you blend them up, and like to a powder consistency, and then you do the French press method. And it just turned out to the weirdest sugary cleaning product flavored mess almost. It was like the lime flavor of the Skittles and lemon flavor dominated. So you got that, and then just tons of sugar. It was like when you took a sip, it was like getting sugar rushed almost because it was just so intense with the sugar flavors. That was so bad, but it was just fun. We're like, what the heck? Skittles were on sale. Let's try and infuse some Skittles into this beer. But it was fun. We grabbed a whole lot of things, and the last blend we did a Mexican style licor porter, where we took the beer and then we infused it with cinnamon, coconut. It was actually chocolate. We infused it with like chocolate we like shredded or chopped up or whatever, and then also vanilla bean and coconut, and what else was in there? Oh yeah, and habanero peppers. That was really good. That
Wow.
was really good. It was a lot thinner than been bigger. That would have suited it more. But it was just it was really interesting. It was pretty good.
Now you made me want to get my Imperial quarter out and start infusing it.
Yeah, but it was fun. And the thing is, the smokiness kind of worked with the pepper flavor and stuff. It's like, well, maybe Tisla should try and make a Mexican style interest one.
I'm actually surprised that they've never done more like other versions of that, because I mean that's like, yeah, like you said, that's basically every beer nerd's go to like cheap craft beer that it's cheap but it's still really really good. So I'm surprised that they haven't capitalized by making like barrel aged versions and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, but I get they're also a little behind on it. I mean, or they not behind on it. They have a completely different audience. I mean, I think it's just because. But we're getting some comments now. The guy in Albuquerque says Lucha's Porter is the best beer ever. And then, and one of the persons who were doing the whole French press thing says, yeah, Skittles Ninja Porter was not great. No, it was not great. It was shit. And then we have a comment from Andreas Miso-Bertensen, who says, Framboise French pressed with coca nibs is fun. That sounds strange.
Yeah,
Like a raspberry sour with coca nibs?
yeah, because that's kind of like the coffee. Like I mean, I've never tried a chocolate sour. I'm guessing it's probably somewhere on Keller's list for the Spontan series, but
Oh, right, right. Who knows? Maybe
yeah,
that's the next thing we
chocolate
could
and
do
sour.
here. Chocolate. Yeah. And then Nisa RUDH says, I love a good Christmas/spicy beer. And you are awesome, Master of Puppets. Would your mightiness or anyone on this thread like to be my friend on Untap? Sure. But yeah, do you like Christmas spicy beers? Like spiced up ales?
No, no, I do not.
From what I understand, you hate those spicy beers.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of spices in beers. Um, when I first started the blog, I I started the blog like really not very long after I moved permanently to Denmark, and I had never really done the whole Christmas beer thing, in the past. Like I in the past, when I would be in Denmark at Christmas, I would get, Tuborg's Christmas beer, and that was it. So my first Christmas of living here full time, when I had the blog, I decided to do an advent calendar of Christmas beers, and I didn't really fully understand what I was getting into. So I went around to like the specialty shops and the supermarkets, and I bought 24 Danish Christmas beers. And I didn't realize until I had started getting into them that they were all like star anise and cloves and cinnamon. And by about the 8th day, I was just ready to die. And
I love that though, but I mean the stuff you get here with cinnamon and stuff is not that intense. I think, like you have to get like a hoppin' frog, frosted frog, and stuff like that if you want like gingerbread or brunkage, it's a Danish Christmas cookie type flavors in your beer. I mean a lot of the stuff is just like subtle nuances of spice, in my opinion, from what I've had.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there are some beers that are a little more intense with the spices that I do actually kind of like. I think that it's the usually Christmas beers here that are spiced are also incredibly sweet.
Oh, like the Belgian strong ales.
Yeah. So I'm like my kind of beer. I like really dry, really bitter, or really sour beer. So I tend to not really like either spicy or really sweet beers. So I mean that's just my whole opinion. But I try and stay away from spiced beers.
But what do you guys think about spiced beers, like for Christmas and stuff? What do you prefer? Do you prefer like winter warmers, or do you want something like this super spiced up Christmas ales that actually taste like gingerbread cookies and stuff like that? I'm in that boat. Like I even love in the autumn season getting a pumpkin pie flavored things.
No,
I am. I'm a average as a white girl.
basic bitch.
No, basic bitch, that's right. But I actually do like pumpkin pie flavored things. But I mostly only had pumpkin pie. I haven't had many pumpkin pie flavored things other than beer that's pumpkin ales.
Yeah. Here's this will surprise anybody that's watching and you. I Hi, my name is Alex. I've been American for a long time. I have only ever had 2 pumpkin beers.
Wow. And I
Yeah.
think I've had more than you. That's
Well,
crazy. I've had more pumpkin beers than an American.
and
How un-American of you, Alex.
I know. I've never had a pumpkin latte.
I haven't had that either, but that's because we go, oh, wait, we do have a Starbucks here. Maybe I should try and get that and review that for this coming autumn.
Yeah, there you go. You just have to go to Copenhagen.
No, we have one in Aalborg. We actually have the first Starbucks outside of the Copenhagen airport. Boom. But yeah, there was a comment on the sour Skittles thing, or that was you. And then also, do you have cakes with bar tabs in your house? So that's directed at you, Alex, and
Yeah,
I can see you already answered that.
yeah, I do. I don't know how well you can see, but I have a kegerator, and this is my. I'm sitting at the dinner table, the dining table, so I have yeah two kegs. I guess you can't see inside, but 2 kegs and 2 taps, and then a bunch of bottles in there because I'm a home brewer and I brew my own beer, and bottling is just, I mean, it's crazy. My wife kind of got sick of having 1,000 bottles laying around all the time, either full of beer or waiting to be full of beer. So we finally made a deal that I could get a kegerator so I could start kegging it. It would take up actually less space.
Yeah, I also have a corny keg over in the corner, but the beer that's in there right now has been in there for way too long, and I haven't gotten it cleaned out, and it's bad and whatever. But it's so much easier to keg than bottle. Bottle sucks. Bottling sucks.
Yeah, it really.
We're getting some more comments. We talked about sour, about like sour. Was it the coffee sour? Ryan Luna mentioned Tart of Darkness as a sour stout. That is an awesome beer, though. Have you had that? I think it's also because of sour Skittles thing.
Yeah, I haven't had it, and I've always wanted to try it, but it's you can get it in Denmark, but it's really expensive, and nobody that I usually taste beers with is really all that excited about it. So I've never really had, because it costs I think 190 kroner, so it's like what, $40, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it costs.
It's good though.
Is it?
Sour stout that they put in the barrels that previously had Black Tuesday. instead of throwing the empty Black Tuesday barrels out.
I should get it next time I'm in Copenhagen.
Yeah, it's really good. We used to be able to get it once in a while here, but it's been gone from here in a while. And then, yeah, also from Ryan Luna, we need to try New Belgium Coca Mole. We can't get New Belgium in Denmark, but I've tried some New Belgium. Have you had any other than like Fat Tire?
Yeah, I've had quite a few. I've had most of their on the shelf beers. They distribute to Michigan, so I bought like Ranger is such a good IPA, and like when I'm in Michigan, I always go to the store and I get a 6-pack of Two Hearted and a 6-pack of Ranger because they cost like $7 for a 6-pack or something crazy like that. But I've had a couple of the what are they called? The special, the one-offs, Lips of Faith.
Yeah, Lips of Faith. I've had a few from that, like La Folie and stuff like that, but I've never had the Coca Mole. I actually think I was able to get it when I was in exchange in Albuquerque, but I never got it because I heard it sounded weird.
Yeah.
Or thought it sounded weird.
I definitely haven't had that one, but I've had a few Belgian beers too, and they're nice.
And then Ryan Luna also said Stone's Vertical Epic 12-12-12 was fantastic. Gingerbread cookie beer, or gingerbread cookies. We don't, like, I've had one of the Stone Vertical Epics, but I actually have a bottle of 12-12-12 in my cupboard along with 10-10-10 that I got a long time ago, that was supposed to be for a tasting of the entire Vertical Epic series, because one of my friends has all the others in the series. He just needs these two, and then we were going to taste it and also do some video of it. And it's still supposed to happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Oh wow, that would be really cool.
Yeah, but I think most of them are getting a little too old by now.
Yeah, that's.
The first one was like, what was it, 222 or something like that? I think was an amber ale.
Oh man, that one's gonna be awesome, man.
Yeah, awesome oxidized amber ale. But yeah, then also Lisa says she loves pumpkin ales as well. She says the more pumpkin, the better. Oh yeah. And then that if we've had Elysian's Punkachino. No, I haven't, but it sounds awesome. Like cappuccino mixed with pumpkin things.
Oh man,
sounds interesting. I know that Elysian is like apparently one of the breweries in the U.S. that makes the most pumpkin beers. They do a lot of different ones, but I've never had any of their stuff.
Huh? Yeah, I've never had stuff either.
We're falling behind on the comments. Then pumpkin porters is where it's at, says Edward Wilson. I've actually had one pumpkin porter, the Treat by Midnight Sun, and that's actually really good. That's like a chocolate pumpkin porter. It's a while back though, but that's really nice. Have you heard of that one before?
No, I've never heard of that one.
The Midnight Sun is like an Alaskan brewery, and I believe the brewer of Anchorage used to be the brewmaster or one of the brewers at Midnight Sun.
Oh, okay, no, I have heard of Midnight Sun, yeah. How do you say that it's in Alaska? I have heard of the brewery, but not that beer.
Yeah, but they do some really good stuff. I've had a handful of Midnight Sun's beers, like their Berserker Imperial Stout, which is like made with maple syrup and barrel aged, and then also their was it Arctic Devil with like a Wolverine on the label, which is like an English style barley wine that's bourbon barrel aged, and then Treat. And then I think I had some from them, like in some average or regular releases when I was in California, but those were pretty good.
Cool.
But yeah, you probably have more Anchorage, haven't you, than Midnight Sun? Like Anchorage Beer Company?
I've had a few beers, but I haven't had that many. It's they don't make it. I don't think that they distribute to Michigan when I used to live there. and you can't buy them here where I live in Denmark either. So I had the collaboration, a couple of the collaborations with Keller, and then I think the smoked porter. Pretty sure I've had that one too. But it's sad because I haven't had a lot of American beers. There's so many American beers that I haven't had.
Well, that's also because you moved here, so it's harder to get.
I moved here, and then I concentrate a lot on European beers for whatever reason.
it's easier to get here.
Yeah, it's easier to get, and they're always a bit fresher, and yeah, I should try and get back to it because everybody always asks me about when I talk to my friends back home. They ask me about have you heard of this beer and this and that, and this is the new beer that. Wow, I haven't even heard of that one.
Yeah. So we're comment here. That's from the guy in Albuquerque. Biggest disappointment regarding spicy beer has to be McKellar's Mission Chinese food. I've never heard of that one.
Oh man, have you never had that one?
And other people agree that that's a bad beer, and Ryan says in the name I'm avoiding. I guess I agree with that.
I've only ever had it on a sample glass because I've learned that beers that I don't know, I always ask, especially if it's from a brewery like McKellar, hey, what is that? Oh, it's a spiced Pilsner with ginger and yeah. Can I have a sample first? And I remember that I had not
before buying the whole bottle.
So yeah, it wasn't very good.
And Ryan also said the Coca Mole, the beer by New Belgium, is just like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That sounds sick, because I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm not a big cereal guy, but when I was in the U.S., Cinnamon Toast Crunch was the shit.
Yeah, that's a good cereal, man.
Alex, we need to collab on a beer, a homebrew. If Evil Twin can do a donut break that's dry hop with donuts, we can do a Cinnamon Toast Crunch break. That's dry hop with Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
So we'll grind them up and we'll dry crunch it.
Dry crunch beer, that's the new thing.
We'll just put one of the squares into every bottle.
Yeah. And just let it sit in there and age. 12-12-12 vertical epic was the only good one, Ryan Luna said. And then also Edward Wilson said, if we have heard that Stone is pulling levitation ale, and what do you as it's a good and affordable craft beer? I only had it when I was in the U.S. because Stone isn't available in Denmark, but it was a really nice amber ale. Have you had it before, Alex?
Yeah, it's a really nice beer. Yeah, I've had it a bunch of times. I guess I didn't hear that they were going to pull that.
For some reason, they decided to discontinue that, and also Ryan Luna mentions in the comments they're also discontinuing Sublimely Self-Righteous, their black IPA.
No, that's a really good beer.
Yeah, I saw it actually the other day, and I was like, what? I love that beer. Yeah. It's so good.
It was actually the first beer I ever had. Yeah.
Like Stone, well, I guess it might also be because they wanted to make place for new beers in their regular release lineup, beer that you can get all the time. But Levitation, I'm kind of okay, that's okay to pull. It's still a really nice amber ale. It's very affordable. It wasn't when I was in the U.S. at least. It was something that was cheap to get. But Sublimely Self-Righteous was really good. That was that. I could see that as a really nice, easy to get in the U.S. at least, black IPA.
Yeah.
And Stone also did one of my all-time favorite black IPAs, the Escandidian, what was it? Imperial Escandidian dark black. They were making fun of the whole naming black IPA, but that was amazing. But yeah, it kind of sucks they're discontinuing that. I
Yeah,
think.
well, they can start brewing them in Germany and sending them over here if they want.
Yeah, maybe that's the beers that they'll introduce to the European crowd because they're not so intense as
If
their
the
other
American
beers.
market is sick of drinking them, we'll have them over here because I would love to have Stone on the shelves.
Oh yeah, actually you can get it in Sweden. You can get some stone beers
Yeah,
over
then you
there
have to
once in a
order it
while.
by the case or something.
Yeah, I actually have a bottle of Go-To IPA to review, and I think it's fairly fresh because it's enjoyed by the 23rd of February, so I'm hoping it's fairly fresh because Stone does the whole enjoy buy thing on their beers
Yeah,
now. But I've heard from many people that Go-To IPA is one of the best session IPAs you can get.
yeah, I would really like to try that one. I've heard that I've heard it's really good, and I mean, that's kind of my go-to style. Not session IPA, but I'm a guy who really likes session beers because I mean these the huge beers those are cool, but you know you can't like drink a whole bunch of them. I feel like
What
this.
do you guys think of session beers, by the way, watching?
What's
Just
that?
thinking the guys watching, what they think of session beers, if like the whole session IPA thing versus American Pale Ales, because I know a lot of people think that session IPA and American Pale Ale should just be American Pale Ale. I know a lot of people think session IPA is bullshit. I'd love to hear what you guys think on that because there's a lot of difference in opinions, and also session ales in general, because I think that's going to be a bigger thing in the future as well. As you were saying, Alex,
Yeah,
session IPAs or session ales are nice.
and that's I mean I find myself brewing tons of. I mean I have both of these session ales that are on right now. They're both I think they're actually both 4.8%. So and it's just what I like to have on draft.
Yeah, it's also if you have it on draft, you kind of, especially as a home brewer, you need kind of like to have an everyday beer, a beer you can drink like regularly. Because
Yeah,
if you have like a big double IPA on draft and you
I
like have it right there on a tap, it'd be so dangerous.
I made just a super killer double IPA. I was cleaning out my hop freezer of like all the little bits that I had left over from brews and stuff. So I made this huge double IPA and I put like just an outrageous amount of hops in it. I think I ended up putting like a half kilo of hops in by the time I was done with the boil and the dry hop, and it was so good. And I had it on draft, but it was like 8.3%. So I would sit down to watch something on TV, and I'd keep getting up and getting more because it was so drinkable. And then I would like black out and wake up like hours later, and what the hell happened to it? Just get so drunk, just sitting on the couch watching TV. It's dangerous.
That is pretty
Beers on
crazy.
tap.
Hopsine says that apparently the goat or the Sublimus of Righteous is being replaced by a black version of their Enjoy by
Okay.
the Stone beers. Have you ever had an Enjoy by?
Yeah, I have. I got one in a trade as an extra, and it was really cool. It was really nice. Um, I drank it one day after the enjoy by date, so I guess I can admit that here because I don't think that Stone can extradite me from Denmark. But it's they're really awesome beers. Have you ever had one?
Yeah, I've had the Enjoy by. Um, I had it. I think it was sometime after I got. back to Denmark. I was lucky to get a bottle. Was it? Yeah, I think it was when I got back to Denmark after I'd been in the U.S. But that's a great beer. I think it's really good. A black version of that would probably be pretty damn good as well. But a whole lot different from the if it's going to be kind of like just like the Enjoy By, because then I guess they're switching Sublimely Self-Righteous with the double black IPA. Because Sublimely Self-Righteous is like a regular like single, right?
Isn't Sublimely Self-Righteous? It's a pretty big.
Or is it Imperial? I can't remember. I haven't had that since I was in the U.S. actually. So.
I shall Google it quickly.
But yeah, I think it should be interesting with the black version of Enjoy By, because Enjoy By is great, and I love the whole concept about it or behind it, that you try to get it out as fresh as possible to specific markets whenever it's brewed, instead of just trying to get it everywhere, just so that you're sure like some few markets gets the beer as fresh as possible. I really think that's a cool concept.
Yeah, I think so too. Sublimely Self-Righteous is 8.7%, so.
Okay, it was pretty big already, so I think Enjoy By is like 8 point something.
Yeah, it's a pretty big double IPA, I know that.
Yeah. So that should be interesting to see. But what I'm really looking forward to the most about Stone is them getting the brewery opened in Germany. The Stone Berlin.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool because, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, the fact that we don't really buy a lot of American pale ales and IPAs and stuff because they're just not. I mean, even if they get brewed, bottled at the brewery, get on a truck, immediately get on a boat to Denmark, and you pick it up the day it gets put on the shelf, it still doesn't taste the same as. I mean, it's still probably been 3 months kicking around who knows where.
Yeah.
Dinner. So, I mean, to have fresh Stone beer that's just, I mean, basically just across the border, that'll be
insane.
What's that?
That would be insane, or that's going to be insane. Because Stone is one of my favorite breweries in the U.S. that's like easily accessible and everything. So yeah, I really dig them. But we're getting some comments now about session beers and stuff. Ryan also says if we ever, or if I ever come to Southern California, like Orange County, we should go to the brewery and stuff. He lives close to the brewery. Within 5 minutes of the brewery, there are 6 different breweries. Yeah, that'd definitely be cool, man. I've been to the brewery myself once back in 2012, and it was awesome. But I only went to the brewery. I went there for their, I think, 3rd anniversary. And then another comment: session beers. This is from Nisa Brewed. Session beers, in my opinion, have no reason to ever taste bad with the low ABV. But if you're going to spend money on a low ABV beer, then why not just get a Bud Light?
Yeah, that is one of the. I think that's especially one of the things here that keeps session beer from becoming a really big thing. Because I mean, if you buy a 4.7% hoppy beer in Denmark, it's the same price as a 9% double IPA on the shelf, and then you might as well just buy a can of Carlsberg or something. But I mean, like in the U.S., I feel like they're still pretty cheap. Stuff like Founders All Day IPA. I don't know but when I'm in Michigan, it's like $8-9 for a 6-pack, which is cheap by the standards of beer.
For that price here, we probably get maybe 2 bottles or 1.5 bottle of All Day IPA. But yeah, that's right. I just think it's because we don't really have many Danish breweries making. Well, we do actually. There's been a few out, but they've still been quite pricey, as you said. But I still like, speaking of session ales with the low ABV and talking about drinking Bud Light instead. Yeah, I can see the idea behind that because Bud Light is just something you can slug down. And as Ryan Luna says, Bud Light is appealing in 100 plus degrees Fahrenheit, whether they're near a beach. And that, I agree with that. But what I like about the session ales when they're done really well is like you could get a really nice kick of flavors without having the high ABV. That's what I like about it. So like you can drink a few of them without like being shit faced, because like double IPAs, for example, have so much awesome flavor. But just drinking, if you drank one bomber of double IPA, you're kind of on the way already. So that's what I think like the appeal to the session beer is, that it's like you can drink a lot of it and then not getting hammered. Kind of like the tradition, like session beer is an old tradition from the UK when you think about it, with the cask ales and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thought
see that
too.
just more amplified.
Right.
What do you say?
Oh, I was just saying that, yeah, definitely the fact that you can have the flavor but still drink a lot, and I think that it's actually kind of cool for like the social aspect too, because if you have like a get together and you're sitting around drinking beers, if you're drinking just Imperial stouts and double IPAs, I mean, everybody's going to get shit faced really quickly, and but if you're drinking, like, if you've got session beers, you can keep a nice conversation going before you fall asleep at the table or something.
Yeah, I guess it's true. But yeah, and another question from I'm probably gonna butcher your name, sorry man. Greg Grzegorz Tomczyk or something like that. I think he's from Poland. He says if we've ever had Polish craft beer. I think the question is more directed at you, Alex, because I've reviewed a handful of Polish craft beer from Ale Browar. And I think that's it. And then also some of the more traditional Polish beers, like Siwish Porter and the more traditional Baltic Porters. But apparently Poland right now is booming with craft beer, which is pretty cool. But what about you guys? Have you had any?
Wow, it's going to sound really terrible, but I have had, at the beer, there's a beer festival, not the Copenhagen Beer Festival, but the other beer festival that happens in Copenhagen, Brew Festival.
No, the one by the Danish beer enthusiasts? Yeah, that's just Brew Festival or Beer Festival.
Yeah, it's just called Beer Festival because they're super inventive. There was a stand with like 4 Polish breweries there, and I tried a lot of their beers, and they were all so good, and I cannot remember a single one of the names of the breweries. mostly probably because I couldn't pronounce them. But I've heard that Polish craft beer is just going crazy. I mean, if those were anything to judge it by, it seems like it's all really quality stuff too.
Oh yeah, I mean, from what I've only had, I think it's 4 maybe. One of the beers I had was a collab, but they were really good. One of them I shared with my dad on Christmas Eve, which was a double IPA, and it was like really good. It was like on par with a lot of the American stuff. Really nice stuff. So but that's one of the things I think is really cool too. Is like see craft beer spread to places you don't really expect craft beer to come from, like Poland and Estonia and Spain and places that are not known for beer. All of a sudden, boom, they're giant craft beer culture.
Yeah, I lived for a little while in Hungary, and I got to go to a big, the first ever, I guess, craft beer festival in Budapest, and yeah, it was really cool to see like so many people. It was totally packed out, and there are just like tons of new craft brewers in Hungary, and the beer is actually pretty good. So it's really cool to think that that it's spreading so quickly and that there's so much beer out there. But then it's also kind of sad because we don't get any of it. So because I would love to try more beer from all over Europe. I actually think that that's a really cool. That's why I kind of concentrate like my reviews a lot on European beer, because I mean everybody knows about the American beer, and you know, most people think of like Denmark and Spain maybe as beer countries, but I think it's cool that there's a lot of beer that nobody really even knows about yet, and there's probably a lot of like little gems that are just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah.
Sounds.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So it's really cool. And then Ryan Luna said, "Better get back to work." So get back to work, Ryan. Apparently you watched this at work. But cheers, man. And then he puts a Ragnar Lothbrok. Do you know what that is a reference to, Alex?
No.
No. Okay. Some Norse mythology stuff, and then a TV show called Vikings.
Okay.
So yeah.
I know.
And then also, huh?
I've heard of the TV show.
Oh yeah, it's actually pretty cool. And then the best Imperial Porter in Poland is apparently brewed by someone called Browar Pinta, and it's called Imperator Balziki, I think. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. That's apparently good. I think I've heard of Browar Pinta. Another beer tuber, Real Ale Craft Beer, did a collaboration beer with them called something with Irish Red Ale or something like that.
Cool.
But yeah, I think we've been going now for quite some time, so I think we should start to wrap it up. It started off with a beer review that went to hell. Then we started over. We rambled first about contract brewing, which was the initial thing, and then we ended up talking about all kinds of other things. But as always, these live streams are fun to do. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I think
having me.
And oh yeah, no worries. Definitely, guys. If you don't know Alex already, you definitely need to check out his blog, Rock on Beer blog. Well, plug your stuff, Alex.
Yeah, it's my blog is at rockonbeer.com, and then I have a YouTube channel that is well, you can I guess you can see my name in the comments if you're watching right now. So I'll just I do videos. I do video reviews like Peter, and like I said, I do almost exclusively like European beers, and then
you
a lot of doing stuff, grained glass and tubes, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of try and balance it out, but I review my own beers, stuff like that, and then
you have the blog.
What's that?
You also have the written blog.
Yeah, and I have a written blog, and I try and maintain both of them. So you can check me out at rockonbeer.com or YouTube. I think it's Rock on Beer blog on YouTube, and then it's at Rock on Beer on basically every other social media known to mankind.
Yeah. So guys, definitely check out Alex. I can see a couple comments are coming in now, but those will be left for some other time. If sometimes there's a problem, so these comments during this live stream itself doesn't go on the actual video that's posted after. So if you don't mind, guys, if it doesn't show up after, please repost them if you want answers. But thanks. And thanks to you guys for watching. It was fun to do it. I'm sure we're going to see you guys in another live stream eventually. And yeah, cheers in an empty glass.
Oh yeah. Cheers. Thanks and thanks everybody for watching and
all that stuff. And yeah, guys, we're going to see you in another beer review.
Bye.